I think your last question was, what's a topic, a trending topic in Chicago, and my views on it. Some things that are happening in the city. Everybody's always talking about sports. There's a new casino, the first casino that's going to go into Chicago. There is like a Roe v. Wade. There's something going on with that. I'm not as educated on it. I don't necessarily follow all the news. And I don't really have many opinions on things. I have more questions than opinions. Many more questions about things. I do notice people are less tense since the 2020 election. I think when Trump was in office, a lot of topics, or you hear around people frustrated or people having opinions about things. Do those issues go away when, say, your political party is now in office? Like, do all issues go away? Of the most consistent thing, or an issue that's always happening, not just in Chicago, but other American cities, is gentrification. And so that's like developing neighborhoods to how would I describe it? Gentrification is the process of like taking lower income neighborhoods and then developing into neighborhoods that are or higher income, or bring in more revenue, or newness, or so with gentrification, I don't know how it all works in Chicago, but you don't want to displace people that have been living in a particular spot for a very long time. At the same time, too, you always need to be like developing, and as a city, it's not static. It's kind of like an ecosystem where it's always changing, always adapting, always it's always going through those processes. The people I hear complain about gentrification the most are the people that actually move into the gentrified areas. I'm also very pro housing. Like Chicago, if you notice, something Chicago does is always building new housing. I've had friends that just moved to New York and people can't find housing, so they're paying astronomical prices, and it limits the type of people that you can have living in your city. So then it becomes what is considered like a boutique city, where only rich people can afford to live in places. Now, if you build more housing, then that means other housing becomes cheaper, right? So the building I'm in right now was built in the like 60s or 70s. The one next to us, probably the 50s or 40s. The one beyond that is probably like 60s or something like that. But like I wouldn't be able to afford a place living like this if new housing wasn't being built. So it lowers the cost and allows more opportunity for housing for other people. This is like a long story, but I lived homeless in Chicago voluntarily for 4 months back in 2011 to better understand the subject and who it affects. And I've learned a lot from that experience. I actually, it's a whole other story and video, but something I noticed is about the people within the community is that there was never like a hate for the city of Chicago. There was never like this feeling of, there's this love for the city. And while one might not be physically housed or not have housing at the time, they were still home because it was Chicago. Chicago is home. And it didn't necessarily matter as much where one lived. And that's something I've always thought about, is like, what does home mean? And a city itself can be a home. And it's like almost like in one's mind. That's what is defined by. So